well, Defensive Player of the Week. Just what did you like about his performance and what he did?
I think it's so cool how that young man has just continued to accelerate his growth and development. I think that was something that we started to see in the spring, and he started to get more reps, and there was already a really good group in that room, right? When you had Stukes and Gunner and Dalton and Bobo, and then the corner position, and he just continues to show up every week. I mentioned it at the end of the game or in my press conference after the game, just the amount of energy and enthusiasm that he brings to practice every day and shows up with him playing good football. And I think that's a really cool part of it, is that he's a great demonstration of when you put in the effort and the energy into the practice environment, into the process, that gives you a chance to have the result you want to have on game day.
And of course, you want to have the other guys available, but what do you think this experience can do for Genesis moving forward?
Well, I think it's huge just because, the best way to get good at football is by playing in the games, right? And practice is obviously critical, and lifting weights and meetings, all that stuff is important part of the process, but nothing accelerates that development like playing in the games. And it's obviously been beneficial for Genesis and beneficial for us that he's been able to play a bunch.
Mike, a two-part question. They're related to each other, so I hope that's allowable. Your thoughts on the run game, kind of getting going in the second half, sticking with it. What do you think was the difference?
No, I thought that was great. I think, the bye week giving us some time to kind of dive into some fundamental football, and, that being such a part of the run game, just blocking, stepping with the right foot, going the right guy, all that stuff, pad level. And then, the counterplay wasn't a huge, call of emphasis going into that game for us. But Coach Atkins and those guys saw something, in the second half there, and we called that, and then you saw Quality get out, which was just great. So, I think that was really encouraging. Quality, I think, was almost 10 yards to carry, 9.7 or something, which is just an awesome day. And we need that kind of production from him and from Ked, if we're going to, continue to get better and continue to kind of for that run game to show up in a positive way.
And then the second part is your thoughts just on the run game as a whole this season.
Well, I think we all would agree that it hasn't been consistent or efficient enough, and I think that's the frustrating part. Some of that is the musical chairs in the offensive line, and then some of that is that I think watching losing Bill hurts, right? Like, we were so excited about him and what we thought he could be, and then Quali and Ked, we've had some tough moments there with just staying fit on people and playing some guys out of position or playing them somewhere new, where you have Big Jonah, who's an outstanding offensive lineman, and we're moving him to left tackle. That's just a totally different spot than the right side. So, but I think to those guys' credit, they work incredibly hard. Josh Baker is a great leader in that room for those guys, and to see that get better on Saturday night after a couple tough weeks of run game, I was encouraged by that.
Coach, you had a couple of forced fumbles from defensive linemen Dominic and Stanley that happened considerably downfield. What's kind of the technique on that where, your linemen are able to curl back and maybe make those types of plays 10, 15 yards downfield?
Yeah, to me, that's all effort, and that's red line right there. Those guys, you see them, you always want to have as many Arizona jersey in the picture, on the film at the end of the play as possible. And those good things happen when someone is the first tackler is there and has secured the tackle, and then everybody else is, busting their tail to get there and hopefully create something like that. So I thought that was an awesome picture of that. I thought our defense played with outstanding effort all night. That was exciting.
You even emphasized after the game that you wanted your defense to have the appearance that they were playing harder. Did you feel like you weren't seeing that before?
I think you can always, that's such a that standard is such a movable goal line. You know what I mean? You're always trying to elevate how hard you play, because I think that's one of those things that can be an equalizer if the talent's offset, or if you're playing, a team that's better than you or somebody on the road, stuff like that. And so just always demanding great effort from our team is going to be an absolute staple of what we do.
Jenna?
Two questions. One, what stands out to you about TCU? I know it's early in the week, but...
Well, I think, they're obviously a team that has been up and down, but it seems like they're playing good football. They're coming off a bye, which I think will be helpful for them. They've got really good athletic group on defense that runs to the ball, And I think that, when you're looking at that kind of like speed, that's something that you're always considering. How are we going to handle that? They're extremely well coached. Andy Avalos is a fantastic defensive guy. And then offensively, Sonny's always been creative, right? He was creative when he was here. And just having coached against a bunch of his teams, they've always been extremely explosive offensively. And so we got our hands full on both sides of the ball, going on the road, tough game late in the season in November. And obviously it's a huge game for us. So, we're putting in the time and putting together the best plan we can to give us a chance on Saturday.
Do you have any connection to Sonny?
I know Sonny quite well, yeah. I've coached against him a bunch of years. He's a really good guy and a good football coach.
3 or 4 wins and maybe the 3 best performances this year have come with extra time to prepare, season opener and then both of the buys. Is there a way that you can condense the best parts of the preparation from those into the week and have the same kind of lead up?
We certainly hope so. You're always trying to maximize the time spent, the rest and recovery with your team. Those are conversations with our training staff, with our strength and conditioning staff, trying to make sure we're practicing the right way that gives us the best chance to be as fresh as we can possibly be by game day. But I do think there is some benefit of the bye just because you do have a little bit of extra time. And so trying to find the right pace that way with your meetings and all that stuff and still play by the rules.
Justin? So you made a change on the offensive line, Joey Capra at right tackle. After watching the film, what was your assessment of him and how the O-line did collectively?
I thought Joey really gave us something in there. I know it's hard because he's playing a little bit out of position, but this is a young man that joined us, I think, August 5th, and, out of the transfer portal, and to see him contributing in a meaningful way is just awesome. And he is one of those guys that loves coming to work every day, loves being a part of the team. The guys on the team really like him. He's just a really good dude, really great energy. And I think he could just continue to work, right? Because when we started, he was just learning everything for the first time in training camp. And so he's played a bunch of different spots in the O-line, from center to guard to tackle now. And we felt like he gave us a little bit of stability there.
Noah Fafita got that time to throw under 3 seconds this last game, first time since the opener. What do you think enabled him to do that?
I think it's a combination of things. I think it's, us, we've been really diligent the last couple of weeks of just kind of putting him on a clock every play and giving him that feedback in practice, like in the moment, so that he's understanding, okay, that got out in 1.8, that got out in 3.2, whatever it is. I think that's been helpful. And then I think also we were a little bit more consistent up front. And so finding creative ways to either add people to the protection or add people to the concept where the ball has to get out fast is what we're trying to do.
Coach, how have you evaluated this wide receiver group in terms of blocking? I mean, we see some great plays like when T-Mac swings down the field on the Connolly and gets in front there at the end. But then we see plays like Jeremiah Patterson on that edge pass that didn't even connect with his defender to try to stop the play. How have you graded that overall?
Well, I think just in that moment that Jeremiah has to be a little bit better. I think on the play you're talking about, the corner triggered really hard and inside, and his eyes were, he's watching the ball, and so he's got to see both those things as he's standing there, the ball and the guy he's trying to block. It's not easy, haven't had to do that before. Those perimeter blocks, and lots of times, you end up having a physical mismatch. Now, not on that because he was on a corner, but lots of times we're asking JP or a lot of those guys to block linebackers and safeties where they're giving up 10, 20, 30 pounds, So, really the biggest thing there is just him being a little bit more patient and being able to see both, because sometimes what happens in those moments is once the ball's snapped, the receiver is too aggressive. And what happens on the perimeter is you just can't get beat fast. You can get beat slow as long as you get in the way and give the ball a chance to get past your block.
Justin, what did you make Quali's touchdown run, T-Mac sprinting up the field to try and get that block? And with that, what did you think just about the overall effort from the team considering?
I thought it was great, and that was one of the things that we went into that game that was definitely, I mentioned it earlier, was just a standard for us that we wanted to put on that tape after and feel great about how hard we played, and I think we can say that. Now, are there moments in there where I wish this guy or that guy played harder? Sure, that's every game. Like, nobody has a perfect effort game, but if we'll continue to push that and drive that, and the players will hold each other accountable to that high standard, then we will continue to get better.
If if you looked at Owen Goss against Kansas State and then looked at him against Houston, like almost totally different player over that time, he almost matched Genesis in terms of his statistical output. How has he been able to improve so
Well, I
much?
think those reps are helping him, right? And the transition from where he came to this is a jump. You know what I mean? And I think that's just part of it. And I mentioned it with Genesis, and it's been the same for Owen. The more he plays, the more he gets a feel for the speed of the game, and the more comfortable he gets in our scheme, and the better he gets with his eyes. And so, I think we're all optimistic that he's going to continue to improve. He's another really, really great guy. Works extremely hard, and so I'm encouraged by that. And I think we all are. Like he's really been a great addition to our team.
Coach, Danny Gonzalez had talked in the fall camp about potential late half drives where you could maybe go down and get a kick for Tyler, and we saw that in the game on Saturday. What did you like about the way that Noah operated that to get you in a position where you could get in that field?
Well, I thought that was a huge momentum play for us, you know what I mean, just in the game. The excitement, it was great to see just the sideline explode with that enthusiasm for Tyler. Having seen him hit so many of those kicks, whether it been in pregame or practice, it was awesome. And Michael and oh my gosh, long snapper, I just forgot his name. Justin. Michael and Justin, they're a big part of that too, right? That operation, to hit a kick from that far out, that operation has to be super clean. And so I give those guys all kinds of respect for that, and especially Michael, right? Because Michael had dropped the previous field goal attempt, right? And so, or PAT, field goal. Yeah, field goal. Yeah, so for him as a freshman to come back out there in that moment and execute with detail and clarity was really important. And then obviously Tyler's talent came through and he hit a great ball. So that was a great moment for our team.
Any more questions for Coach? Justin? I've always been wondering, the last year I asked Coach Fish this, but what is the message to the players regarding like sports gambling and stuff like that?
You just try and, actually we have a big full department meeting on that stuff tonight with our players. I think it's something that you have to talk to them about, how you have to educate them about. It's such a different world that they live in now because of the access to the phone and how that all happens. And you've seen lots of people have an issue with that across the country over the last few years. And so it's really just trying to educate them as much as we can on just the dangers of that and how complicated that can make their life. And really, if what are we worrying about right now? What are we focused on right now? We need to be focused on playing great football at TCU on Saturday. That's it.
Last question to Mike.
Chris Hunter had another good game, showed maybe a part of his game that we hadn't seen that much, the running after the catch. What accounts for his development into a starter and someone that you guys are depending on quite a bit now?
Well, I think that's the development piece is that's what it is, right? He hadn't played at all before this year, really. And so, and the acceleration of that by him playing more in the games is that you're starting to see his development accelerate, kind of what we were talking about with Genesis or Owen. And so I think Chris is one of those players that he's consistently and really hard worker in practice. He is full speed all the time. So he's getting all those reps where he's transitioning those breaks full speed and he's running those routes and those screens and all the things we ask him to do full speed. And then you see his confidence growing with the success he's had in game, which is, you start to build that confidence in the practice environment, right? And then you get chances to test it on game day. And, the more he plays, the more consistent that has become. And so I think we can all be really excited about Chris Hunter.
All right, that's our time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.